Tonight on the Northwestern News Report, Schill on Capitol Hill. The Northwestern president will testify in front of Congress on anti-Semitism later this month.
And an incredible new business adds a splash of color to the Evanston local business scene. The city is about to get its first tattoo parlor.
And a return of the marriage pact. We break down the data behind this annual Northwestern craze.
Those stories and more on the Northwestern News Report.
It's your news
right now.
Good evening and welcome to the Northwestern News Report. I'm Caitlin Bender-Thomas.
And I'm Kunjal Bastola. Here are tonight's top stories. President Michael Schill will testify in front of the House Committee on Education and the Workforce later this month. The May 23rd hearing will focus on anti-Semitism on college campuses and will feature Schill alongside the president of Rutgers and UCLA's chancellor. The presidents of Yale and Michigan were initially scheduled to testify, but the committee's chairwoman, Virginia Fox, said Monday that Northwestern and Rutgers will be called instead. In a press release, Fox said, quote, "Over the last several days, the presidents of Northwestern and Rutgers have made shocking concessions to the unlawful anti-Semitic encampments on their campuses. They have surrendered to anti-Semitic radicals in despicable displays of cowardice," end quote. The announcement comes as several groups, including the Midwest chapter of the Anti-Defamation League, called on Schill to resign after the university reached an agreement to end last month's encampment on Deering Meadow. Schill defended that agreement in a recent video to the community.
I am proud of our community for achieving what has been a challenge across the country, a sustainable, de-escalated path forward.
Meanwhile, Schill's Committee on Preventing Anti-Semitism and Hate has ceased work. According to a letter written by the committee's 11 remaining members and obtained by the Daily Northwestern last week, the letter comes after 7 members of the committee resigned on Wednesday, alleging that Schill did not consult them before coming to the agreement with encampment negotiators. Former committee member Lily Cohen explained her decision to resign.
While at the beginning, I really tried to remain optimistic about the fact that maybe the committee really was a step in the right direction, a genuine attempt by the university to improve the environment for Jewish students. I no longer feel that way, and I really think that it was more of an attempt to save face than it was a good faith effort to center Jewish voices and improve the Jewish student experience.
Schill announced the formation of the committee back in November. According to that announcement, the committee was designed to guide the university's response to the crisis in the Middle East and ensure Northwestern has mechanisms in place to help prevent anti-Semitism on campus. A Northwestern spokesperson tells NNN in part, quote, "President Schill plans to continue to engage with members of the committee because he feels the work they have done and their voices are vital to the university."
Frustrations with Schill's handling of the encampment also sparking legal action. 3 Jewish students filed a class action lawsuit Friday, alleging the university breached contract with its students by failing to enforce its code of conduct. As the encampment on Deering Meadow took shape, Northwestern announced updates to its student handbook. One says that, quote, "Installation of tents or other temporary structures on university property is prohibited except for university-approved events," end quote. While NUPD initially attempted to remove tents on the first day of the encampment, dozens remained until the agreement was reached. The suit says, in part, quote, "Northwestern twisted itself into a pretzel to accommodate the hostile and discriminatory encampment, legislate around it, and ultimately reward it," end quote. Northwestern tells NNN it does not comment on pending litigation.
And despite the Northwestern encampment coming to an end last week, Northwestern community members are finding other ways to continue to protest the university's response to the war in Gaza. Last Wednesday, a group of protesters gathered at the Rock to strike, continuing calls for the university to divest from Israel. Flyers distributed at the demonstration read that, quote, "If Gazans can't go to school, no one else should. The group called for students to skip their classes and spend the day participating in activities at the Rock. During the day, notices were handed out by the university. They alerted protesters that they were violating new guidelines that prohibit demonstrations at the Rock before 3 p.m. The notice also said that protesters would have to comply with the addendum or face, quote, formal disciplinary action. Students also continue to gather on Deering Lawn, attending events hosted by the Northwestern Divestment Coalition.
Mayor Daniel Biss will address Evanston tomorrow at 4 p.m. for the annual State of the City speech. Biss will speak at Evanston Space, and it will be streamed online. This year's attendance numbers were increased to allow more people to attend in person. The mayor says he will share his vision for the city of Evanston. There are many things happening in Evanston, including a new zoning code, a ban on menthol-flavored tobacco, and the city's sometimes tense relationship with Northwestern. If you're interested in attending, tickets are available for free online on Eventbrite.
The city of Evanston is also preparing for its first tattoo shop to open its doors later this month. It comes after multiple city committees have supported a special use ordinance for the shop. NNN's Julia Narvaez-Manguia shows us the faces behind the art.
That's a sound that David Liebert hopes to bring to the city of Evanston.
People have been asking questions and calling us, and we're not even open yet. So that's been really nervous, but it's exciting.
Liebert and his fiancée, Isabella Viola, have several years of experience as independent tattoo artists. Now they're ready to make their mark on the Evanston community by starting their own storefront.
Something that I am getting used to is being able to multitask with all these emails and then the phone calls and then just getting the shop ready. But overall, it's been really fun. Just little things, because I've never ran a business before.
Liebert says they've had to apply for a special use permit from the city of Evanston because there's no other business like theirs in town. And it's a waiting game from now on as the state health department still has to come and inspect the shop.
The process is just long, but it's good that it's long because you have to make sure everything's done properly, especially with permanent tattoo stuff like body alterations.
Once the permit is finally approved, they'll be able to start tattooing people in their own storefront.
Evanston was the perfect town to open that up in, and just because of the environment, the people, the location, and I couldn't have dreamt of a better spot.
Hoping to build the next tattoo empire right on Main Dempster Mile. In Evanston, Julia Narvaez-Manguia, Northwestern News Network.
Liebert and Viola say they're confident that their opening on Kedzie Street will be a big hit. They'll be handing out limited punch cards to their first 150 clients and offering a permanent student discount in hopes to gain a relationship within the Northwestern community.
And back on campus, spring quarter excitement turned into frustration for students when the housing selection site crashed amidst a surge of complaints about accommodation integrity. NNN's Emmanuel Perez has more on how this is affecting students living on campus next year.
Students are voicing their discontent over the reliability of the housing selection system and the fairness of the process.
From what I'm hearing, a lot of people are kind of abusing the system. So yeah, I guess kind of be able to meet everybody's needs in a way that doesn't, people don't abuse the system.
While some students believe that the housing accommodation process should be fixed, others say it's up to the student body to change.
If I were taking something away from someone when I don't need the thing that they need, I'd feel horrible.
Some students were granted accommodations, others sought for more privacy. This came to a disruption when the housing selection site went down at 1:45 p.m. on April 18th, further delaying selection time.
With Northwestern having the amount of funding that it does, I think it's ridiculous that a crash even occurred.
It made the process of selecting a room go from let's say 10, 15 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes.
Student Affairs saying in a statement to NNN that Accessible NU, quote, aims to support students equitably. But students underline that they are not feeling this support when it comes to housing accommodations.
I feel like without respecting what students need, then it just makes, everything a lot worse.
Emmanuel Perez, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Emmanuel. Coming up, you'll now be able to get a little bit more out of your meal exchange. We'll tell you how when we come back.
I'm Kelly McEvers, founding host of the NPR podcast Embedded.
I'm James Edwards, host of the Unresolved podcast from Frontline.
I'm Antonia Cereijido, former senior producer of Anything for Selena podcast and current executive producer at Elias Studios.
My narrative, since I've been locked up and kind of made my transition, has been like redemption, accountability.
When I come into the classroom environment, every individual that sits amongst me takes education seriously.
Parents protesting the likely closure of the Bessie Rhodes School of Global Studies gathered at the District 65 school board meeting last night. Bessie Rhodes is the only bilingual school in the Evanston and Skokie-based district, and protesters point out that it's also one of the most diverse, both in terms of low-income and minority families. The board made the decision to move towards closing the school as a result of budget constraints, citing the cost of upkeep, Bessie Rhodes, as well as the cost of building a new school planned for the Fifth Ward. Parents say the board's reasoning is disingenuous and that board members have not been transparent in their communications with the community.
We feel like we come up here every board meeting and we come up and we give all this data and we never get an answer back really and I just hope that before the decision is made, we can hear you guys.
While board members have remained quiet on the issue, School Board President Sergio Hernandez spoke up about new opportunities the district hopes to provide.
This hurts. I wish I could have it all. I wish we could keep the K-8 model, a self-contained. I really do. You can. But what we're looking for is moving just from beyond one building to ensuring that every student, specifically every Latino and Black student and working class student, whatever race they are, has the same access to the resources they need.
Last night was the second of 3 hearings on the potential closure of Bessie Rhodes, with the final vote to decide the school's fate on June 10th.
Dining hours are changing at Norris University Center. As of yesterday, Shake Smart's hours are now 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and meal exchanges will be accepted all day. Previously, meal exchanges couldn't be used between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. Hours are being cut at other spots. The market at Norris is now opening at 9 a.m. and closing earlier at 7 p.m. every day. Mod Pizza and Starbucks will close earlier at 8 p.m. on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights too. And on Fridays, 847 Burger will be open until 7 p.m. These changes are for the rest of the quarter, as Norris determines whether they'll remain in effect for the next fall.
When walking past Kresge, you might see a bike sculpture. Ed and Ed's Louis Castaneda tracked down the artist and found out what it means.
Inspiration striking Ian Lay when things weren't riding so smoothly.
At the time, there were so many bike thefts going on. My roommate, for example, got his bike stolen twice.
His roommate saying those thefts added up. He spent
probably like $600, maybe a little bit more.
Now he's not taking any chances, locking his bike with not 1, but 2 locks. The thieves did leave one thing behind though.
Just the wheel, and it was so sad.
That same wheel, recycled in Ian's work of art. Around campus, abandoned frames, wheels, remnants of past bike thefts. Many with notices of violations, but few that have been picked up.
I'm a huge biker. I love to bike, so it was just depressing seeing this form of transportation just being strewn around and left abandoned.
Ian's piece taking a spin on the idea of a bike.
Is it allowed to be on this rack? What happens when the parts are left? Why hasn't nobody stolen it yet or done anything with the bike part?
And this is just the beginning. Ian already starting his second installation downtown.
There are certain parts in downtown Evanston where bikes are very policed. For example, you'll see a lot of no biking on sidewalks, like bikes aren't allowed here.
Ian hopes his piece sparks a conversation about how cities are designed for cars, impacting those that need bikes to get around. Luis Castañeda, Northwestern News Network.
For NU students interested in getting into sculpting, check out Professor Michael Rakowitz's Introduction to Sculpture class. Coming up, the beloved Evanston Farmers Market is back, and vendors give us a look inside a morning full of fresh produce.
My relationship with Giannis is unique. We're from the same country, we're from the same city. Being a Northwestern alum, I think, has tremendous advantages in the sports industry. To me, that community, it's been with me for 20 plus years.
Welcome back. Evanston's Bach Week had its final performance this past Sunday. The annual festival featured a series of concerts and events celebrating renowned musician Johann Sebastian Bach's life and work. And then Sabrina Carson takes us into the music of Bach and a 50-year tradition.
The end of an era, 50 years in the making.
Bach is very unifying. I mean, it's hard to find someone that doesn't appreciate it and love it and feel moved by it.
Bach Week has been a part of the Northwestern and Evanston community for 50 years, featuring many of Bach's pieces played by community and guest musicians. This festival marked its last.
For everything, there is a season, and we felt that 50 years to the day was an amazing moment.
Richard Webster acted as Bach Week's music director since its creation in 1974.
I remember how informal and how spontaneous it was.
He said none of this would have been possible without former St. Luke Church organist and Northwestern professor Carl Paukert.
He said, "Richard, let's get some musicians together, play some Bach."
The final concert took place at St. Luke's Episcopal Church, where musicians played one of Bach's most iconic pieces.
The B minor Mass is known as the granddaddy of them all.
People traveled around the world to celebrate Bach Week one last time, some from the very first performance.
There's a row of brothers who were little choir boys at the time, and two of them flew in from Italy just to be here.
And though this festival may be over, the music will last a lifetime.
I intend to stay connected to these same musicians, and we will make music again. We will do some Bach, we will do other things.
Bringing Bach to broadcast, Sabrina Carson, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Sabrina. The final event was sold out.
Now it's time to take a look at what's happening in the world of Northwestern sports. Women's lacrosse won the 2024 Big Ten tournament over the weekend. It's the fourth time in school history. The Cats defeated Penn State 14-12. Most of the game took place outside at Martin Stadium before moving inside due to a storm. NU hasn't lost their last 43 home games. The Cats are the #1 seed in the NCAA tournament, which begins Friday.
Meanwhile, softball finished its regular season with the best records in the Big Ten. It's a three-peat for the Cats, who have won every Big Ten title since 2022. NU has won 16 straight series against Big Ten opponents. The Cats are the top seed in the Big Ten softball tournament and will play on Thursday morning against the winner of the Purdue-Indiana game.
And after winning the Big Ten conference title, the men's golf team is heading to the next round. Next week, the Cats will play at the regional tournament in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. NU is the 5th seed in that tournament. They will play 54 holes over 3 days, and the top 5 teams advance to the men's golf championship later this month. That's the latest sports news.
It was a bit of a rainy weekend here in Evanston, and I think everyone's hoping that we get some sunshine close to the end of the quarter. While we're all crossing our fingers, NNN's Allison Miller joins us now in studio with the weather.
Thanks, Caitlin. Spring is in the air, and as flowers are blooming all over campus, May thunderstorms help keep them nice and watered. A weekend downpour caught students by surprise, but yesterday was warm and bright with sunny skies. So, what does the next week have in store? Today, break out those umbrellas again. We've seen a 75% chance of storms. Today's high is 70 degrees, with temperatures dropping as low as 56 overnight. Although you might not be able to catch a glimpse through the clouds, tonight's sunset is at 7:57 p.m. Heading into tomorrow, temperatures will stay in the low 70s with overcast skies. A front of rain on Thursday will welcome cooler weather. There's around a 50% chance of rain with the possibility of scattered thunderstorms. To finish off the week, the sun will peek out again on Friday, and even more rain is forecasted for Saturday. But don't worry, temperatures are expected to rise again next week, and the rain will go away, so your weekend won't be a total wash. Don't forget that Sunday is Mother's Day. Enjoy the sun on Monday, because with these ups and downs, you can't be too sure what the sky has in store. That's all I have for this week's weather. Now back to Caitlin and Kunjal at the desk.
Thanks, Allison. I'll be sure to watch out for those puddles.
On the corner of University Avenue and Oak Street, the Evanston Farmers Market has made its annual return. NNN's Gabriel Burnett gives us a look at the vendors and produce that are back in town.
Evanston residents are flocking back to a city staple, the farmers market. With over 40 vendors, there's a treat for everyone. Owner and operator of Simply My Farm, Alex Overholser returned to the market for the third year in a row. He says he enjoys getting to know the different people and personalities who make up Evanston.
I really love building those relationships, seeing those faces again, especially as the first market of the year, catching up on them.
From coffee to flowers to breads, the market offers a variety of options, but locally grown fruits and vegetables remain a fan favorite.
Just asparagus is a good start of the year. Pretty soon here we'll have strawberries, and those will fly off the shelf quicker than I can stock them.
I love the fruit. Like at the beginning of the year, I love to get like oranges.
Northwestern first year Megan Liu has been coming to the farmers market since the beginning of the school year. She says it's more than just a place to grab quick groceries.
I feel like it's also like a way to just connect with like the greater Evanston community, because I feel like Northwestern is such like a bubble in itself. This is like a way for like the entirety of Evanston to just like be together in one space. So I do think that this is like a really positive, just like happy space for everyone to come together.
Fostering communities from farms to the marketplace. Gabriel Bernick, Northwestern News Network.
The farmers market will take place every Saturday from 7:30 to 1 p.m. until early November. Be sure to check it out.
And after the break, I'll give you a breakdown of the data behind the marriage pact. Stay tuned.
Trying to work my way out of the prison system was the most difficult challenge of my life. It only became tangible once I became a Northwestern student.
One, two, three, four.
Welcome back. Each year, Northwestern Marriage Pact releases a report of the student body's preferences on topics from politics to dating. NNN's resident statistician Max Rothfeather is here to explain the key results.
Yeah, that's right, Caitlin. This year's Marriage Pact had all kinds of results, and we start here with our political affiliations, and they added some new ones this year. Last year, we just had Democrats at 62%. This year, they split that up into liberals and Democrats, which total 64%. We saw a decrease in the socialists from 11% down to 6%, and we also saw the addition of an apolitical category here this year, which took 5%, taking a little bit away from the 18% who were independents last year. Now, moving along to rule followers,
On the right there, you can see conservative and Republicans. They're most likely to follow the rules, with positive being rule followers. We can see that line right there in the middle, marking zeros. Now, was the socialists and the communists most likely to break the rules, with independents right in the middle at just negative 0.01? Now, no one likes to be ghosted, but could it possibly be related to birth order? Well, they did the statistics on this, and the youngest child is most likely to ghost with 3.56 on their scale. That's above the middle, oldest, and then only children who are the least likely to ghost. And finally, they asked the question, do men and women tell their friends that they love them? Well, it's not good news for the men, who have 20% never or almost never. Now that's compared to 26% of the time, where women do always, compared to just 16% for the men. So I guess, I know we always sign our emails peace, love, and NNN, but I really do mean it, guys.
Thanks for that breakdown, Max.
Evanston's Paws and Claws celebrated 4 years of rescuing cats last Friday. NNN's Alicia Tang takes us to their birthday bash.
Paws and Claws Rescue bringing some of Evanston's biggest cat lovers to their 4th birthday at the Palm House last Friday.
I am the lady that, you know, if I won the lottery, I would have 1 million cats in the house, for sure.
With live music, denim decorating, and even a silent auction, there is just no pause on the fun.
Candy bar, caricatures, the vintage sale. So that's the only thing that's missing here is the cats themselves.
The birthday bash marks 4 years of operation and 1 year since Paws and Claws moved into its first permanent shelter.
I live 2 streets down from where the foster's shelter is. So when they moved in, I kept walking by the little window and I was like, oh, they're so cute, look at these kittens.
Their location on Evanston's Dempster Mile has allowed them to save more at-risk cats, with help from around 200 volunteers.
The sky's the limit, it feels like sometimes with our new space.
The sold-out event drew nearly 150 attendees.
I'm realizing it's like a nucleus there, that there's a huge amount of people and a huge amount of opportunity to give these cats a good home.
Many bonding over their love for felines.
I wanted to create a community I was personally excited to be part of, and I'm honestly just so proud that I think that's where we're finally at.
Fostering cats and community. Alicia Tang, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Alicia. It looked like a positively good time. You can keep up with Paws and Claws at Paws and Claws Cat Rescue on Instagram. Well, that's all we have for you tonight on the Northwestern News Report. I'm Kunjal Bastola.
And I'm Caitlin Bender-Thomas. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of the week.